Hello, everybody. Thank you for being here this evening and for welcoming our new city council members to the table. Yay. So we are going to start tonight with public comment. I know you received a notification yesterday for that you would have 1 minute to speak. That's because we had 50 people sign up to speak. However, we just counted 32 or 33. So we're going to do 2 minutes each. But one thing I wanted to let everybody know, I don't know if you all tuned in for our meeting this afternoon, but we had a discussion about public comment. And one of the things we talked about was how can we get 3 minutes of public comment that's ensured every week while still being respectful to people. We don't want people to have to stay here until midnight for their public hearings. And so we're going to have that discussion at our retreat on January 28th. That's the second day of our retreat. It will be at the Raleigh Convention Center. So if any of you want to come, we'll be having a major discussion on community engagement, and public comment will be part of that. So just wanted to, is that somebody's phone or whatnot? If we could silence phones, that would be very helpful. Thank you. All right, so we are going to start off public comment this evening. The rules of decorum are up, and no stranger to public comment. Octavia Rainey, we're starting with you.
Good afternoon. My name is Octavia Rainey, and first of all, I would like to welcome all of our new council meetings to the Raleigh City Council, and I'm looking forward to all of you doing good things. At the last City Council meeting, I was in the ladies' room, so I missed the conversation on Smoky Hollow. I would like to say to the new council members and to the old council members, thank you for the renaming of the park from Deborah Meadows to Smoky Hollow Park. We are very excited about that, and we look forward to working with you all because, as I always say, it's your present that get you to your past to get you to your present, and your present that get you to your future. So we are all looking forward to the future of Smoky Hollow Park, but engaging in the past and the present and the future. So I would like to say thank you all so much. And one other thing I want to say, since we're adding to the City Council retreat, I would like to add that Raleigh Housing Authority do not have a city liaison. The last city liaison was in 1985 with Ralph Campbell. Now, you know that's been a long time. So I'm asking as a part of your retreat to add a city council person to their board so we can begin to move forward with what are we going to do about the homeless? What are we going to do about housing 30%? And make Housing Authority a part of the conversation, a part of the working plan, because Housing Authority has really been missing. It's time we bring them into the fold. But thank you so much.
Thank you, Octavia. And I think you probably know, too, that one of the things we asked for with Smoky Hollow is having a historic kind of tribute there, because there is confusion. Some people think we named it after a development, as opposed to naming it because of the history of that that area. So we will be telling that story.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reverend Renee Bethea.
Good evening. Before I get started, hello, Ms. Smith. Good to see you. I have a copy for you. Okay. All right. Good evening, Mayor Baldwin, City Councilors, and City Manager Adams David. I am Renee Bethea, 2709 Bethune Drive. I'm on the board of directors of the J.T. Lott Resource Center, which is the fiscal agent for Justice Served NC. I am here on behalf of the J.T. Lott Resource Center founder and owner, Sheila Alameen Khashoggi, who has a scheduling conflict this evening. In the past 2 years, the Wake County Government Capital Area Workforce Development has awarded Minister Diana Powell's nonprofit Justice Served NC funding for emergency housing. This year, the Wake County Community Partner ARPA funding gave Minister Powell's nonprofit $250,000. Within 2 months, the line item for this much-needed money for homeless families has been depleted. Yet, on a daily basis, Minister Powell gets calls from or about families and individuals in need of emergency housing. It is past time for the city of Raleigh to take on its responsibility in this situation with deliberate speed by matching and exceeding the county's contributions in funding emergency housing for this segment of Raleigh's community. Therefore, as the fiscal agent, we are requesting on Minister Powell's behalf that the city give Justice Served NC its monetary cooperation by assisting with this endeavor. Therefore, it cannot be said, let me say, it cannot be said, Minister Powell does not have the paperwork for this type of funding because in 2021-22, Justice Served was awarded $8,000 from the City of Raleigh's Human Relations Commission for the Safe Space After School program under the name J.T. Lott Resource Center, doing business as Justice
Reverend,
Served
your
NC.
time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I do want to address that, and I will when Diana comes up. Currently, there are Wake County grants available to assist individuals, and there is an application process for that. But also, Justice Served would be eligible for community enhancement grants, and that application process is ongoing right now. So I would suggest following up with somebody from the Housing and Neighborhood staff. Is Lamont here? Lamont is here. You know Lamont. If you would follow up with Lamont, he can provide some guidance for you on how to do that.
Excuse me, I don't mean to take up your time, but I was just given some information that it seems that enhancement grant changed from November, I believe it was, and it has changed now to where they have to have, and we're talking a small nonprofits, have to have a person for accounts payable, accounts receivable. That's too much for a small nonprofit.
Diana will get with Lamont. and
Okay,
we
thank
can
you.
see.
If you
A
will
lot of
address
these
that.
rules are federal rules as well. So we have to go by federal rules.
Okay.
And just for clarity too, Wake County is the lead agency on Health and Human Services, which includes housing and working with our unsheltered community. So they are the lead organization. We partner with them. And many people don't know that. So that's how, that's why when you're talking about Wake County granting that funding, that is their primary responsibility.
Okay,
But we can
thank you.
assist and look forward to it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy Gilchrist.
Good evening, everybody. Want to welcome the new counselors. Anyway, I just want to say there's a rising tide of extremism. I think we're all aware of it in this country, right-wing extremism, particularly hate groups like the Proud Boys, Oath Keepers, Patriot Front, and so on. And we've encountered Proud Boys multiple times in Raleigh, including most recently at Umami on Hillsborough Street, a new business when they wanted to host a drag brunch. And we're all aware of what happened in Moore County. I was a Moore County resident for a few years when I first came to North Carolina. And I think that even heightens the sense of urgency here to look at these groups more closely, what they're doing in Raleigh, and everything else. I think we really need to get a statement from the city, a statement of condemning these hate groups like the Proud Boys and so on, because they're amplifying their rhetoric. They're showing up at these shows, and there's going to be another one of these shows in December on the 17th, and we're concerned about that as well and the threats to that. They've also been rather handled pretty gently so far by the police in the city. And I think we also need to take a closer look at the police force and any kind of extremist elements that may be operating within, because that has been proven to be a factor since the January 6th attacks in the Capitol and so on. That's been so this is really, really a deep concern. Again, we saw what happened in Moore County, and although it can't be proven yet, I hardly think it's coincidental that that drag show down there happened at the same time as this, when there were some severe extremists down there, multiple extremists who were at the Capitol, and so on. So I'd just like to see that. I know a couple of councilors already have, before taking office, have already issued statements on Twitter. I think we need to look at that and what can be done going forward. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm also thinking that we should ask our Human Relations Commission to look at this issue. And do we need, that would be a modification to their work plan. So do we need a motion on that?
Motion.
So the motion is to modify the Human Relations Commission work plan to include looking at violations of LGBT rights at different functions. Do you want to second that?
Second, yes.
Okay, Councilor Black, thank you. All right, all in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. Josh Bradley?
Josh Bradley, 1320.
Thank you for your book.
Okay, you're welcome. Josh Bradley, 1324 Spring Lawn Court. I thought we only had 1 minute, so I can take it a little slower today. Welcome to everybody that won elections. I did give everybody a book on gentrification and, on how to avoid it. So take a look at it. It's free from me. Anyway, we've got a new crowd up here, and I think overall we did well. I think a lot of people up there are really happy that I didn't get elected, but that's okay. Things that we need to focus on as a city is we need to fast track this bodily autonomy thing. We need to get buffer zones around all health clinics. We need to talk to the clinics to see what they need. And rather than sending police we should send city staff to enforce that initially, just because the police haven't covered themselves in glory in the past. So if we have somebody from the city staff that can issue citations and then call the police as a last resort, would be great. But the clinics know what they need. Talk to them. Surely don't help build any more crisis pregnancy centers. Affordable housing. Every time I hear moonshot, I think about the doubling of the unhoused population of Raleigh. If we want to do a real moonshot, what we should do is we should do what we can to make sure that everybody that lives in the city can afford to live, and make sure that people that are living rough have access to housing, and housing first without preconditions. We need to put public restrooms throughout the city. You can put locks on the doors to make sure they're safer, that everybody has access to. And I'm about out of time, so thank everybody and good luck, friends, comrades, and other counselors. Thanks.
Thank you. Next, we have Carrie Collins.
Bring that down just a bit. All right. Thank you, everybody. Welcome, new council. You stole some of my thunder, Mayor Baldwin, when you said you were going to talk about the
Could
lack.
you speak into the microphone a little?
You stole a little bit of my thunder when you talked about the adding time for people to speak during this meeting. I appreciate that. The 1 minute barely gives us time to get over our nerves. So I appreciate that. I would love to see you add a third meeting to the month so that we actually have time to talk to you. I would also like to add that during the past few meetings I've attended, I have watched each one of the council members, present and the old, play on their phones. It looks like talk amongst yourselves while people are speaking. The rules of decorum should also apply to you. When we are speaking to you, you should pay attention to us. We do pay part of your salary. I'd also like to add, as a part of the need for affordable housing, that you take a look at your current salary, since you raised it yourselves, some of you at least, that you look at what that actually can afford in this city. It's not much. Would you want to live where you can afford to live on what you make as a city worker? That's what your police, your fire, your other city workers make. What you are being paid as a city worker. They deserve better. Take a look, do your research, and tell me at the next council meeting if you really think that that's a livable wage. Thank you.
Thank you. Diana Powell. Diana?
Good evening, Council, and everyone that's in the chamber. My name is Diana Powell, Executive Director of Justice Server, North Carolina, 530 June Lane, 27610. I'm coming before you all because of the work that we have been doing within our community with our Second Chance Act initiative. We did receive funding from Wake County. Since October, we have done assessment and intake of over 143 applicants from a population who's working and desire to work, but yet they're homeless. They're not looking for a handout. They're only looking for a hand up. This is a community who is not just coming because of the sake of coming, but we are in desperate need. We have seen children with families between the ages of 6 months and 18 years old who are literally sleeping outside. Myself and the community, we have pulled on each other over and over again. Through social media, we have asked for donations, and many have come through, but it is not enough. So I am asking you, as not only a community organizer, but as a mother, as a grandmother, as I have to lay and wonder who is sleeping in the cold tonight. They are working, but with the hotel payment is $500 to $600 a week. There's no way they can get ahead. So I'm coming to you and asking you, will you help us help them? And as we always say, it's not a moment, it's a movement. Thank you.
Thank you, Diana, and thank you for the meetings you've been holding. Councilmember Fort has been representing us at that, and I don't know if you heard or not, but today we established a task force. We're asking the county to join us to find ways that are more innovative and to work with our unsheltered community. We are in a crisis, so thank you for your work. And then, like I said, I'm going to ask Lamont to reach out to you tomorrow. Okay? Thank you. Justine Evans? He's not here. He's working. Okay. Johnny Mae Grandy?
Hi, my name is Johnny Mae Granby, and I'm with Justice Serve. I'm homeless. I'm not looking for a handout, but a hand up. Thank you.
Stacy McGregor.
Good evening. My name is Ashley Stallings McGregor, and this is my wife, Stacy McGregor. We are with Justice Served as well, and we are part of that homeless population. We both do work full time. My wife did pick up a second job to assist with making sure that we had the funds to meet any requirements that these landlords do ask us for. We are not, like the previous young lady said, we're not looking for a handout at all. We both work very hard. We are very productive citizens of our community, and we do everything we can to assist in any way possible. Again, we're not looking for handouts. We are just looking for a listening ear, a helping hand. That is all we need. Direction, something that will help and assist everyone that is with us in this homeless situation to come and be a better part of the community. That's all we need, and that's all we want. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Quashisa Sills.
Hi, my name is Quatisha Sills, and I'm a part of Justice Serve, and I'm homeless with 3 kids. We're not looking for a handout. We're just looking for a hand up. Thank you.
Thank you. Tanisha Wilson. Is Tanisha here? Okay. After Tanisha is Crystal Stafford. If Crystal could make her way up to the podium as well, and Lettie Harris. Okay. Tanisha and then Lettie Harris, if Lily could make her way up as well.
I'm Tanisha Wilson. I rent from Bula Gumter. He's a slumlord, and I'm currently experiencing homelessness with 3 kids because of a rat infestation where my baby got bit. I'm not looking for a handout. I'm looking for a hand up. Thank you.
Thank you. Is Lily here? Lily?
Hello guys, how are y'all doing? My name is Lettie Harris. I am part of Justice Serve. I live at 4841 Edgerton Court, apartment 601. I am a full-time caregiver for my mother that has advanced dementia. I couldn't bring my mother tonight, guys. She's going blind. I'm just here to say I had to quit my job just to take care of my mother. And in the process of taking care of my mother caught COVID. I received help and a financial assistance from Telemon. I'm facing eviction right now, guys, with my mother. I'm not looking for a handout. I can go to work. I made sacrifice to make a choice to take care of my mother. If I put my mother in a facility, guys, no one is not going to take care of my mother like I can. So I made a choice to take care of my mother. I just need help, guys. Thank you.
Is John Niger here? John, from Housing and Neighborhoods? Okay, so everybody who just spoke, John is here. If you could see him, he is here to help you. So, so the woman who just spoke about evictions, we have a partnership with the Campbell Law School that can help you with that. Others, as I said, Wake County has funding, grant funding, right now that's available. And John will be outside after public comment is over. Please talk to him. He can get you assistance. Thank you, John, for being here. Jackie Fields. And after Jackie, we have Donna Bailey, then Woody Biggs, Lexi Newell, Cole McMullen, and Oscar Gurin. So if everybody could start lining up to speak. Okay, Jackie.
Good evening. I'm Jackie Field. I'm the Executive Director for Artsplosion. My address is 924 Williamson Drive. I want to first applaud the courage of those who recently spoke. Thank you. And welcome to the new council members, those who are new and returning. Thank you for your continued support of the arts and bringing joy to the community. I'm here tonight to not only thank the council and Raleigh Arts for your continued support, but to also say thank you to our outgoing Executive Director, Michael Lauder. Thank you to the mayor for your recognition of his service to our community. And thank you for entrusting me with this charge. I'm here tonight also to welcome and introduce you all to First Night Raleigh. That's our New Year's celebration in downtown. It happens on New Year's Eve. It is a free event to everyone that is able to join us. I also want to say thank you to our new honorary chairs, George and Parker York. And just to let you know, some of the activities that we have going on that day and that evening, we start at 2 o'clock on New Year's Eve on Fayetteville Street. We also have activations throughout downtown. We'll be in venues like CAM and several houses of worship throughout downtown, Oak City Collective, Art Space. We have a silent disco in Art Space this year. We will also be in the Poorhouse on Moore Square. We have a projection art installation downtown. We also will welcome the African American Dance Ensemble. We have a comedy venue. And then we have a main stage. So again, our events are from 2 o'clock till midnight with the acorn drop and fireworks, and we want to welcome you all to our free event.
Yep. Jackie, if you could send information to all the new council members so they have it. And for those of you with children or even without, the procession is a blast, and the kids have a great time. So I hope everybody will partake and have some fun at First Night. Thank you.
Yes, at 6 o'clock we have a procession for the children, and we'll have an early drop and fireworks at 7 p.m. for the children.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Donna Bailey.
Donna Bailey, 710 Rosemont Avenue. Welcome to all the new faces and to the returning faces. This is a wonderful night. You were elected to help make great changes to how the city operates. Last night, the mayor talked about how affordable housing, but unfortunately, it was all kabuki theater. I did send you all today information that shows this graph and the information that was provided by Larry Jarvis from the city housing. The past council failed to protect our most vulnerable citizens, and we can see that tonight with people here, in their efforts to give developers free rein in their rezoning requests. Homelessness has doubled in the last 2 years under the mayor's watch. Hopefully, that will now change because it is no longer free rein for what the developers want. I think this election showed us very much that the citizen voice needs to be heard. That does not mean no development. It just means smart development where everyone has a voice. According to Larry Jarvis, the city is losing over 4,000 NOAA units a year. Last year, the city provided 156 affordable units. Where do we go? Where do the people go who lived in those affordable units when everything that is being built is luxury housing? We need affordable housing now, not in 30 years when the affordable housing will be affordable. The trickle-down housing theory does not work, and this council needs to be deliberate with new rezonings. The first question should be, how many NOAA units are being lost, and how will this new rezoning request offset that loss? Real affordability of 60 and 30% needs to be included, not the John Kane version of 80% for 5 years.
Okay.
Affordable.
Donna, your time is up. Thank you.
I had to stop for a few minutes. I have one more comment.
I allowed you to go beyond just like I have others, but your time is up now. Thank you.
Okay, but the clapping.
Thank you. Next, we have Woody Biggs. Next is Woody.
Woody Biggs, 516 West Peace Street. In Glenwood South, we have had several stabbings, vandalism, etc. One business has their security guys walk staff to their cars so they won't get robbed. 10 years ago, I never gave it a second thought to walk through Glenwood South later at night. I do now. Safety is a concern. The city has let the area get wild and out of control. A factor in this is the extremely loud music being played, which can be heard blocks away and in the homes of residents. It sets the tone for the night. My neighbor and I came to the council 2 years ago, and we got a lot of nice talk, but not a lot of action. Officers have told me the current noise control system is as frustrating for them as it is for the residents. So, turn the music down to a reasonable level. Businesses will still thrive. People will still come out and have fun. Residents will stop making noise complaint calls, and officers can do something other with their time. This is not just a single personal concern. There are others here tonight, and I would like them to raise their hands so that you can see it's just not my issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Robin, do you want to talk a little bit about the fact that you are working on the noise ordinance right now?
Yes, we have. We've been working on the noise ordinance for a very long time. It's very complicated, but we do have a very close draft for council review that we intend to bring forward in the near future.
Okay, thank you. Lexi Newell. After that is Cole McMullen, and then Oscar Guarino, if you could start making your way down.
Good evening, Mayor Baldwin and councilors. My name is Lexi Newell. I live at 2001 Myron Drive in District E in Meredith Woods. My neighborhood is home to a Woman's Choice, a medical facility that provides essential services for women, including abortion. A Woman's Choice has been a good, quiet neighbor to us. They have always dealt with protesters, but in recent months, these protests have grown in size, volume, and hostility, frequently blocking the sidewalk on my street, Myron Drive, and intimidating neighbors who are only looking to jog or push a stroller past. I respect the rights of the protesters, but ask City Council to please help us find a solution that doesn't infringe on our right to live peacefully at the same time and helps restore our sense of neighborhood safety. A Woman's Choice in Meredith Woods is unique in that it is the only clinic in our area that is in a residential area. We're asking you, Mayor Baldwin and City Council, to please consider buffer zones, as Charlotte and Asheville have, to protect patients and neighbors while still allowing protesters their right to demonstrate, but at a distance. Thank you.
Thank you. I know that there's somebody else from your neighborhood here tonight to speak on this. The city attorney is working with the clinic, and there is discussion about buffer zones, but also there's other discussions about ways that we can better provide. So, for instance, my understanding is people park in your neighborhood, and then there's ways we have parking programs. We'll explore whether that might be an option for your neighborhood, but you need consensus on that. But city attorney is working on that. Thank you. Cole McMullen.
Cole McMullen, 10530 Sablewood Drive, Raleigh, 27617. In November, the Raleigh Transit Authority Board voted to recommend to City Council that bus fares be reinstated for the 2023-24 fiscal year. The board cited concerns that the operating costs of Go Raleigh Transit are projected to nearly double as Bus Rapid Transit is integrated into our public transit system, and that transit operators have been facing an increase in assaults while on the job. It is thought that reinstating fares may prevent would-be assailants from boarding. While I think increasing operating costs and transit operator safety are legitimate concerns that need to be addressed, I do not agree that reinstating fares should be part of the solution pursued in Raleigh. Operating costs of public transit in Raleigh need to be properly budgeted for by City Council such that fares are free at the point of service. Go Raleigh transit operators are compensated as much, if not more, than Go Carry transit operators. Go Carry currently makes $21 an hour at starting pay, I believe, whereas Go Raleigh is currently $19 an hour at starting pay. And finally, mental health professionals are employed on the buses to address conflicts that arise on the bus using nonviolent conflict resolution. My understanding is that RPD has had a staff shortage for quite some time. I would support a solution in which any funds that were budgeted for unfilled positions in RPD and additionally transferring funds away from military equipment from RPD to public transit is pursued. Finally, no tax increment grants should be approved while public transit is underfunded. Thank you.
Thank you. Oscar?
Good evening. My name is Oscar Guarin. I live at 5021 Selbridge Place. I'm requesting that council direct staff to explore the possibility of relinquishing my property from the ETJ. Just due to accessory structure limitations that typically apply to properties that are over 5 acres, and we just have no future plans of development on our property. That's all.
That's all? Could we have staff follow up? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to call a few names too, if you could start coming down. Next, we have Kate Burney. Is Kate here? Michael Lindsay, Tim Niles, B. Young, Polina Voronski, and Sergey Kessel.
Hi, my name's Kate Burney, and I have lived in Meredith Woods down the road from Lexi since 2014, and this is my first Raleigh City Council meeting, so thank y'all for having me. But as you've heard from other folks in our neighborhood, we are experiencing a pretty massive influx of people coming in to protest a woman's choice. There have been protests for years, but they've reached a whole new level since the overturning of Roe v. Wade. There have been protests this year, this fall, specifically in the last 2 months, where there have been hundreds of protesters. They've brought sound equipment, they've brought stages, they park in our neighborhood and adjoining shopping centers all around. They bring signs, and they block traffic and sidewalks. Their hostile presence is intimidating to all of us living in the neighborhood. It leaves us feeling unsafe, and especially so considering the event in 2021 where a man who was protesting inadvertently shot a firearm into his own leg. So we know that they are armed, and we are afraid of our kids walking down the streets and playing in the neighborhood and being impacted by these people that we did not, they shouldn't be there, or that it should be further back. Anyway, we're asking you guys if you can institute a buffer zone around a woman's choice. We want a solution that doesn't infringe upon their right to protest. We recognize that that is a law, but we want the right to live in our neighborhood freely and safely for our families.
Thank you. Michael?
Christopher's doing his magic here. Christopher, should I tell you to advance or should I?
Advance.
Just by pushing the button on the mouse? Cool. Okay, Michael Lindsay, I live at 1406 Park Drive. Hi, Mayor Baldwin and City Council members. Congratulations to all of you for your recent election victories, and thank you for your commitment to public service. This evening, I'm speaking as chair of the Hillsborough Wade CAC, and I want to inform you about what we've accomplished since we lost city support almost 3 years ago. We've had many, let me go ahead and switch here, hold on. There we go. We've had many meetings covering a wide range of subjects important to Raleigh residents and our elected representatives. These slides show only a portion of our presentations made by our wonderful city staff and other experts, including the state's chief climatologists, consultants, CEOs, housing experts. So let's quickly go through the list. As you see up there already, Raleigh's new Community Climate Action Plan was presented. A study on Raleigh community engagement. Raleigh City Parks, strategies to make Raleigh a greener place. Raleigh's new Community Engagement Office, many rezoning cases. The master plan for Raleigh's Greenway system, monthly city police calls reports. Presentation on urban heat islands. Report on zoning codes for small abodes. Report on tiny homes. Presentation on missing middle housing. Status report from the Hillsborough Street Community Service Corporation. That's actually plural. We do those a lot. Presentation on the Raleigh Parks Bond, the host program that helps housing challenged students in college, accessory commercial units. So, I have an ask of you. As you can see, we're doing a lot. This is two-way communication between residents and you guys. What we need from you is access to meeting spaces. We need the use of a city Zoom account and the video equipment that the city of Raleigh purchased for CACs. Thank you for considering this request.
Thank you. Michael, we'll be talking more about community engagement at our retreat. As I mentioned earlier, we are waiting for our task force to come back to us with ideas, but we have noted this request, and we will have that discussion then. Thank you. Tim Niles.
Tim Niles, 11509 Midlavian Drive. Livable Raleigh supports today's proposal for community engagement put forth by Councilor Harrison. First, as she noted, we need immediate interim opportunities to meet in person to fill the 3-year void noted by Councilor Melton, a self-imposed void created when Council defunded CACs. We sent our proposal to you, which includes opening community centers for free use by the 9 existing CACs that have continued to meet the last 3 years through this void. Second, we support Councilor Harrison's longer-term recommendation to establish a formal engagement structure which includes community-based and community-led groups that are distributed equitably across the city, that hold monthly meetings with staff support, and have the agency to decide their own structures and agendas. We want to make sure her points made it into today's adopted motion. If they did not, we request the motion be amended to include those vital points. We reemphasize the need for immediate action to give CACs access to community centers. You don't have to wait for your retreat where you will discuss the longer-term solutions. You could act tonight. Lastly, I'm going to finish Donna Bailey's points that she ran out of time. Affordable housing can be offered as a community benefit with any upzoning. That is what Raleigh needs to do to get us through this crisis. We will be a better city when we take all of our residents into consideration and not just the wealthy donors that support the councilors running for office. If the city can develop a plan for an affordable housing bonus program for the BRT lines, you can certainly develop a legal plan that would work citywide for affordable density bonuses. Thank you.
Thank you. Next we have B. Young. Ms. Young.
Hello, Councilman. Hi, my name is B. Young. I'm a woman of senior status who has experienced housing displacement, along with many others are being made to feel less than animals. For example, dogs have parks, they have homes, yet there are homeless people who are literally outside with no shelter, being exposed to danger and predators at all times, and in inclement weather below 32 degrees, especially women. Women are being threatened, physically abused, and exposed to sexual harassment. Also, living in hostile and oppressive environments. Also ended up on the streets. As a result, bringing on depression. There are a great number of elderly women and seniors on the street that have been overlooked and are the most vulnerable. Are you willing, councilman, to take it to the streets? If not you, then who? If not now, then when? We need housing, and we need housing now. Thank you. Be young.
Thank you. Next is Polina Voronski. Voronski.
It's Voronski, yes. Hello, council members. My name is Polina Voronski, 4516 One Chelsea Place, Raleigh District A. I come before you to tell you about unprofessional behavior of building inspection department. In October of 2021, my privacy was disturbed by a chief building inspector and 2 police officers who already came uninvited 3 times during the same months. They came to force enter into my house while I have open permits. With help of the city attorney and under false pretenses, they obtained a court order while searching for some quote-unquote problems. Since not being able to find any problems, Brian Robinson, chief building inspector, loud and clear said he must find something, and he did, by lying on a report and failing his own previously approved inspection. My house was built in the 70s, and it has a lot of problems that my builder is actively fixing one after another. Building inspector Brian Robinson and David Brook put my project on their special agenda and disallow anyone in the city of Raleigh to talk to me. They placed a note on my permit, and they only can make any decisions on it. I caught on record an expired permit coordinator, Mary Ann Baldwin, who has to lie to me on record, and she doesn't handle this task anymore. Management of the city of Raleigh are actively trying to force me out of my house so another McMansion can be built. Instead of working with residents and allowing them to complete their project, while City of Raleigh work remotely for more than a year due to COVID, they do not extend any such benefits to the residents, creating more hardships instead. I contacted Brian Robinson and didn't receive any reply. According to the permit department, if I'm actively working on one permit, all other permits remain active. However, they stopped applying this rule to me, to my project. David Brooks backdated my permit and is insisting
Polina,
on
your
stating
time
over.
is up, and I guess next is your husband.
Yes.
Scheduled to speak. Sergey Kessel.
Sergey Kessel, 4516 Winchelsea Place. Problem is, it's you guys can solve a problem. Construction industry, it's a big fraud. Like city inspector do not have appropriate training in city of Raleigh because another state inspector have a 10 years experience plus license of the trade. And what it is, your inspector abusing power. Also, you don't have a structural engineer on the staff who helping residents. Like for example, if somebody have a question, they can come over, talk to structural engineer and solve some problem because it's supposed to be like another state do. Like it's for free for residents. And also everybody talk about affordable house. it's a scam as well, because we have a lot of alternative materials. Your inspector don't even know about it exist. When I talk to about alternative material as a builder and try to, for example, now builder build 200 to 50 like per square foot, you can easily build house to $20 per square foot, $25 per square foot. That's why so many like homeless people and people suffer, and you guys just don't do nothing. And people like me, you try to block with like a restriction and everything. City attorney sent like a forced entry to my property, and also inspector don't even know terminology when I talk to him like a builder to builder. In North Carolina, builder only have a one-day training, no practice in the field. How North Carolina builder can build houses? Like it's a big scam. You guys belong to Kane industry because he bribed everybody. He like a director of a builder association. He bribed any politician. He like a contribute to campaign. Basically he owns the city and don't even give an opportunity to some builder to like actually build and to do something valuable for the city. Like anything you want to do, like a city inspector, try to give you hard time. When you talk to city inspector, they don't even know basic. And it is what need to do something about. Seriously.
Your time is up now. Thank you. Next we have Elizabeth Savage.
Hi, thank you so much for letting me speak tonight, and welcome to the new council members. I also live in the Meredith Woods neighborhood. I've been a resident there for 23 years. On the south side of Lake Boone Trail, the neighborhood is small. It consists of about 175 houses with a few commercial offices on Drake Circle, including a Women's Choice. Over the past few years, there have been increasing challenges due to the larger and more aggressive groups of protesters gathering on Drake Circle, which, by the way, is a very small cul-de-sac with a few businesses on it, using the surrounding businesses and streets for their personal parking, bathrooms, and stages for pre- and after events. These protests have caused an increase in noise, destruction of private property. I did submit a video. I emailed it to you earlier knowing that the time was going to be reduced tonight, so if you could please take a look at that. The video is of a man cutting a fence that was put up by Westville Properties to prevent them from coming in and out of their business, using their restrooms, things like that. You don't need to pull it up. It's fine. In one case, a firearm was discharged into the crowd, not making the neighbors feel very safe. So this is concerning for the homes and the businesses adjacent to the property. I recognize and respect the right to protest with a permit, but this, with a wild card of lethal weapons and with people who disregard others' properties, does not usually take place in a residential neighborhood. The adjacent businesses have hired security guards and filed cease and desist orders, but our neighborhood doesn't have the same methods at our disposal. We ask for your help to work together to develop a plan to ensure the safety of our neighborhood. And I would like to thank Josh Bradley for the suggestion of a buffer zone. I think that's an excellent idea. Thank you.
Thank you. I had two people sign up on the same topic. It was Zainab Baloch and Hamza Baloch. Are they either here this evening?
I don't think so. One of them just had a newborn child, so they're spending time with their families.
Okay. Shane Collins. I just have one question.
No music.
Oh, all the new
sorry.
counselors are totally bummed out now. Come on, Shane.
I'm just gonna sing myself. Shane. My wife knows I can't sing. I reside in Raleigh, near North Hills. I'm gonna start with "The Rocket Man" by Elton John because the mayor spoke about strapping down, getting ready for a ride. So, I miss the earth so much, I miss my wife. It's lonely in space on such a timeless flight, and I think it's gonna be a long, long time till touchdown brings me round again to find I'm not the man you think I am at home. No, I am not the Rocket Man. New council is not anti-growth. Instead, they are for smart growth. Yes, Mayor, we're in for a ride, but the ride may have interruptions along the way due to unexpected complications and interruptions. Unbeknownst and unexpected. Complications can be monitored, mitigated by police, but police are leaving Raleigh in great numbers for more money in other places. What can we do to incentivize police with more money? Along with more money for police, why not increase pay for fire as well, since they protect the public 24 hours a day? Livable wages are important for everyone, especially our city workers, bus drivers, police, and fire. So, in closing, I'd like to say let's treat our city workers with respect by paying them a respectable living wage so they can live in our city and take care of the citizens who they are paid to take care of. Thank you.
Thank you, Shane. Was your wife giving you like a high five because you didn't sing? Yes. Oh, no. Del Monte Crawford. Is Del Monte here tonight? Okay. And next we have Terry Snyder, then Leon Cook, and then Haley Kinsler. Oh. Okay, your name?
Am I next? Okay, I thought so. Terry Snyder, 1316 Westfield Avenue in Raleigh. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. I want to congratulate all of you on your election to City Council. I especially want to welcome you 4 new councilors and am optimistic that you will bring new insights and ideas to the table on how to deal with the critical challenges that our city is facing. In regards to affordable housing, things have become exponentially worse, which is contrary to the information presented to the public. Of the 4,000 affordable housing units being lost every year, the unmet goal of Raleigh's current affordable housing initiative is to replace them by only 750 units a year. Alarmingly, homelessness has doubled this past year. I urge you, as Raleigh's new city council, to aggressively address Raleigh's housing crisis. A priority should be made for all city-owned land to be considered first for affordable housing before any other project. The town of Cary recently set a good example for Raleigh to follow. Other suggestions I have that you might consider addressing are tax relief to residents rather than to developers, aging in place assistance for homeowners, moratorium on tear downs of naturally occurring affordable housing, restrict zoning that eliminates affordable housing, provide incentives to those builders who build affordable housing. I highly recommend that this city council genuinely put Raleigh's residents' interests above those of the developers. Thank you.
Del Monte.
Good evening, Jonathan Melton. I hope you are well. Good evening, Councilwoman Black, Jones, Harrison, and Patton. It's great to see you. I rise tonight regarding the housing crisis. A few months ago, One Wake had asked each of the council if they were going to commit to their $1 million commitment. Each of you answered yes, and you all had 90 seconds to give a statement. So I do hope that over the next 2 to 4 years that you all will honor that $1 million commitment through One Wake. Regarding the housing crisis, I have been in talks with Congresswoman Ross, and we do agree that that by urging officials to include housing, affordable housing infrastructure programs in the infrastructure package, would make housing assistance universal for eligible low-income renters and increase the availability of the affordable housing. Now, Congresswoman Ross, she did sign a $45 billion bill that would go annually towards the National Housing Trust Fund. I am asking that the city of Raleigh either initiate a renter's assistance relief by adding in 10 million, 12 million, the third option, which I know that Mary Ann Baldwin likes different options, would be a $21 million proposal for renters relief. This marks 60 days since Headingham, so I would like to take the next moment to pay my respects to the Raleigh Five. We are Raleigh strong. Thank you.
Thank you. And Demonte, thank you for remembering those we lost. Leon Cook. After Leon, we have Haley Kinsler, Matthew Brown, Chris Crew, and Larry Miller.
Good evening, Councilman. Leon Cook, 1500 Whittington Drive. I'd like to welcome the new council members, especially my District B Councilperson, Megan Patton. I wish you all well in your new roles and trust that you will use your best judgment in all issues that impact all residents of this city, regardless of district, neighborhood, or community. Always seek the input of these residents most impacted by matters that come before you to gain the full implication of the decisions that you make. I strongly encourage the entire council to more fully engage with the communities, especially with those directly impacted by your decisions. Website portals are not the answer. Meeting with residents wherever they are will prove to be most beneficial for all involved. And I trust that the time allotted for public comment, which I'm glad to hear that it was more than 1 minute this evening, be at least 2 minutes, preferably 3, regardless of the number of speakers. And I'd like to comment on the people who have been here who are homeless. We need to do something for this community. We definitely need to do something, not only for the homeless, but for those who are losing their homes because of rent gouging. I belong to an organization where we hear about people whose income and whose rent raises not only just $300 a month, but $900 a month. There goes more people on homeless who are homeless. So I think you need to address this issue very much so. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Haley?
Haley Kinsler, 804 Gorman Street, Apartment C. I'm going to continue to talk a little bit about the issue of the Proud Boys in Raleigh. This is not something that is necessarily new to this table. It's been brought before you a couple of times at public comment. Something that I think a lot about is the fact that every time that I come up here to speak, I have to read my full name and my address.
Actually, addresses are not required anymore.
Okay. So previously,
based on what you had said previously,
yes.
We
So
have the address, but you do not have to state that publicly.
Okay.
You made that case. We heard you and we listened.
okay. Yeah, I was not aware. But here's what I will say. While it's nice that that happened retroactively, if people had been having conversations with me initially, that's the kind of thing you would be aware of sooner to reduce harm in that time. The other thing is, during the afternoon session, Councilmember Melton talked about an equity index regarding LGBT residents, and something that comes to my mind is there's going to be things that are not listed on that index, and I would not uplift it as a single measure of what it's like to be in this city as a trans and as a queer person. knowing that my name is out there, and because of the way that the rules were before, that my address is out there, and what we just saw in Moore County, and knowing that we could potentially link that to a drag event, the fact that that's even in people's minds demonstrates the anti-LGBT hatred that exists all through North Carolina and in the city of Raleigh. I have personally been to events where members of the Proud Boys and other white supremacist groups like the Patriot Front have come and called me racial slurs on the streets, or not racial slurs. Sorry. They've called me homophobic and transphobic slurs, right? And I've heard them use racial slurs against other people as well. My point here is that this is not a new issue, and I don't think there's a simple solution for it, because I understand that there's issues around free speech and protests, but the city needs to be having conversations with the folks that are coming to these events, to the businesses that are holding drag story hours and drag brunches, to see what we need to be doing to keep them safe, because these people have been escalating and something needs to be done about it. Thank you.
Thank you. Matthew Brown.
Good evening. I'm Matthew Brown, 401 North Person Street. I'm delighted to see this new council of thoughtful leaders, both new and returning. The Society for the Preservation of Historic Oakwood would like to buy the city-owned lot at 411 Morrison Street, which is in historic Oakwood. It is an unused parking lot and has been deemed surplus property. We would like to have it to save one of two wonderful historic houses that will be demolished if they're not moved. The house at 121 South Bolin Avenue was just rezoned for 20 stories. It was originally the home of Dr. Hubert Royster, the co-founder and chief surgeon of St. Agnes Hospital over by St. Augs. The other house is 615 Willard Place, which is behind the Char Grill. It's about to be rezoned for 40 stories. Either of these houses would fit on the lot at 411 Morrison Street. North Carolina General Statutes 160A-266 allows a municipality to sell property for preservation purposes without the usual upset bid process. And we are a nonprofit with limited funds. Please help us preserve Raleigh's beautiful historic treasures. Also, the house at 121 South Bolin is affordable apartments that will be lost if you can't help us move it. Thank you very much.
So, Matthew, my understanding is that the City Council gave staff direction to sell this through the upset bid process, and the money would be used toward our affordable housing account. Have you been talking to our real estate department?
This gentleman has.
Okay.
He's about to speak.
Okay. Thank you. Chris?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of the council. Thank you for your service to the city of Raleigh and for the opportunity to participate in this meeting tonight. I'm here to speak on behalf of historic preservation. I am a member of the Society for the Preservation of Historic Oakwood. I've been a neighbor in that district for over 47 years now. A number of recent zoning decisions made by this council and others have doomed several significant historic properties to demolition unless they are moved. For 51 years, the nonprofit Society for Preservation of Historic Oakwood has been dedicated to the preservation, restoration, and curation of Raleigh's first and premier historic district. Last month, the Society presented a bid and a proposal to the city for the purchase of surplus property at 411 Morrison Street for the express purpose of relocating one or more of these endangered structures and restoring the residential streetscape of Oakwood's southern boundary there. All of you members have been provided a copy of the proposal and the bid that we submitted. The Society for Preservation of Historic Oakwood respectfully requests that you work with the City Property Office to sell 411 Morrison Street directly to the Society for preservation purposes pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 160A-266, which allows you to do that for preservation purposes to a nonprofit without an upset bid process. so that if you will do this, we can get about the business of preserving the historic and cultural fabric of the city of Raleigh. Thank you for your time and your consideration.
Okay, thank you. Next, we have Larry Miller.
Good evening. My name is Larry Miller, and I live at 510 Glenwood Avenue. I'm president of the Glenwood South Neighborhood Collaborative. First, I want to congratulate the city council members on their re-election and to those who were newly elected to their positions. I want to highlight a few areas in which we have recently collaborated with the city of Raleigh to improve the Glenwood South neighborhood. The Raleigh Police Department is providing additional officers to patrol our neighborhood on weekends. We want to encourage them to continue and, in fact, increase the coverage of our neighborhood. We understand that there are budgeting and staff limitations, but we want to encourage this as best they can. Increased enforcement of amplified music regulations combined with better compliance by businesses has resulted in a perceived improvement in noise levels in Glenwood South. I understand that there are still a lot of issues, and I'm glad to hear that the city attorney is working on new regulations. And I ask that before the council gets around to acting on those regulations, that they hold some public public opportunities for meetings to have input from the residents and businesses in the city, so that they will be able to make an informed decision.
Larry, we'll be working with the Glenwood South Collaborative and all of you.
There's also been increased lighting on dozens of street lights on the side streets in Glenwood South that have made the neighborhood safer. There's been additional 16 trash cans on the side streets in Glenwood South that has made the neighborhood cleaner. Enhanced cleaning, including power washing sidewalks, has improved the appearance of the neighborhood. The city is working with us to pilot projects to find a creative way to fill the deep ruts around tree wells in our streets, creating a safer environment for pedestrians and improving the appearance of the neighborhood. Thank you for the opportunity to comment, and I hope that the city council and staff will continue to work with us.
Larry, have you had the opportunity to meet your new council? Okay, great. Thank you. Next we have, I'm going to call out a few names so you can start coming down. D. Penvin Crew, Elder Mack, Pam Griffin, James Tusanek, Laura Harris, and Anthony Almazier.
Hi, my name is Dee Penvin Crew, and I'm the incoming president of the Society for the Preservation of Historic Oakwood. For 51 years, the Society has worked to identify at-risk properties in our neighborhood and done all in our power to improve them. We are in the lucky position of having very few remaining properties in our neighborhood that require our action. However, there are 11 parking lots in the district, parking lots that used to contain homes. One such lot is at the corner of Morrison and East. This lot was the location of 2 houses that were lost. Our goal in making an offer on the Morrison lot is to move an at-risk historic home or 2 to this location, thereby filling one more gap in the historic Oakwood tapestry. We have identified at least 3 properties that would fit nicely on that lot and would like to move forward as soon as possible. We have made an offer and placed a bid. We believe our offer to be fair and ask that all consideration be given to its approval. I look forward to working with you all this year. Thank you.
What was your offer?
I'm sorry?
What was your offer?
$300,000. It is a paved parking lot that's never has a car on it.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Elder Mack? Okay. I just want to say thank you to the scout troop that we had here this evening. Thank you very much. Thank you. Pam Griffin? Is Pam Griffin here?
She's here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, all. My name is Pamela Griffin. I am also a part of the homeless community and the homeless individuals that have already spoken here this evening. As you can see, I am disabled. And I am not just one, but there are many disabled homeless people. And it is pretty insulting to me when I know that a lot of them are veterans. Many of them are Marines. I mean, that's insult to injury to me. You got this Camp Lejeune issue here, and you've got veterans that volunteer to be in the service, and they're homeless. What is that? How are you not getting them housing or getting them someplace to live? And right, we're in the winter months now. It is cold. We've already had a few white flag events. And as far as it goes for me, the cots do not work for me. I cannot get on those cots and expect to get up on my own. I believe that what should be happening for the homeless community is at least get us housed in hotels if possible, at least for the winter months, so that we have roofs over our heads. It's cold now. And the other portion of that, with the homelessness, sometimes hungry comes. Now, because you don't want us in Moore Square Park, the ordinance came down, oh, there's no sleeping in the park between the hours of 11 p.m. and 6 a.m. You're not supposed to be in the park. If you're caught there between those hours, at least once you'll get a citation and you get a trespass. The second time, you'll be arrested. It almost sounds like you're saying you're going to be arrested because you're homeless. And the reason why so many of us congregate in that park is because it's well lit and we can look out for each other there. As Ms. Young spoke to, a lot of us are targeted in that park by young individuals who want to pour water on us and spray mace in our faces. A man was beat up in that park. So while we're all in there, we're looking out for each other. We know who doesn't belong in there, or at least with us, or who might do us harm. That's why we're there.
Pam, your time is up. Thank you. And I believe John is still here. So yes, John's in the back. If you would like to talk with him about any specific issues, he is available. Next we have James.
My last name is Tuzenot, James Tuzenot, and I'm her caregiver. Even though we're homeless and everything, yeah, we take care of each other and all. But she's done basically spoke of pretty much what I was going to talk about. But it shouldn't be y'all thinking about yourselves, flat out. I'm honest. I'm up front. I don't care how you take it. I'm just being real. We're all supposed to be a community. And I know for a fact, we're not the only two that's actually homeless. Because one day, each one of y'all could lose where y'all stay at.
Thank you. And as I said, if you'd like to talk to John on the way out, he's back there. Okay, thank you. Laura Harris.
Good evening. So I'm here with Pam and James, and to reiterate their point, so for anyone who doesn't know, white flag shelters give people a place to stay at night during inclement weather, but they're only open when it's 35 degrees Fahrenheit and below. So, I mean, 36 is very cold, and the 40s is very cold to be sleeping outside. People need to be put in hotels, at least for the winter months, while we're routinely having temperatures like this at night. And while that's happening, there needs to be some sort of committee comprised of at least 50% homeless people who are in control of the funds that are going to the homeless and housing affordability. It shouldn't be people get little to no direct benefit from the funds that are supposed to be going to them, and it goes through all these convoluted channels. It should be they should have direct control. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Anthony Almanzar.
Hey, good evening, everyone. Mayor,
Hi.
new and old council members. I just want to say that I am a proud resident of Glenwood South here in Raleigh. I've been living here for almost 4 years, and I've seen the city's growth and infrastructure that has taken place in recent years. The more growth, of course, equals more responsibility because there are more residents in the community. Tell you a little something about Glenwood South. We live here because we love it. We live here because of the activity, not despite of it. We feel safe, but do feel that the district could use more officers. We love the vibrancy and excitement of Glenwood South, and we pay the highest rents and mortgages in the entire city because we live in that district. So Glenwood residents see themselves as a community that can easily become family. And let me tell you why. Because luckily we don't have as many people as New York City. We're a small community that when we do see ourselves in the common areas, we become regulars. And as regulars, a lot of us usually become family because we're very tight-knit. I need my people to feel safe at all times. Among these regulars that I also consider family are people that are also in the minority groups, who in today's news, we hear almost every day about these hate crimes that usually start with open fire. That's why we need to have better security in our Glenwood South community. So in conclusion, we need to embrace the growth. We also need to make sure that the culture is alive as well. And I mean that literally, because people are the ones who make the culture. Thank you.
Thank you. Hua Huang.
Hi. I'll start by saying congratulations to the new council members. The four of you are sitting here because people believe that you will do right by them after having witnessed the callousness of the past city council for the last few years. This is a sign that there are consequences to ignoring the impacted communities for the sake of appeasing the capitalists and the corporates. And nice words will only do so much to shield you from accountability. I was at the swearing ceremony last night, and it was a performative theater that I expected, like the expressive sigh that was given after mentioning about the recent shooting. Where's that empathy for Daniel Turcios and many others who were killed by Raleigh Police Department? Refund Raleigh also called for changes to which their cries were met with disrespect from the council in the past, and I hope that will change this time. On the topic of being performative, there's also the mention, I just heard, the mayor brought it that the staff is looking into the issue with abortion clinic. This is not the first time the clinic and the clinic defenders presented evidence of protesters getting in the way and intimidating patients and their companions. The city has time to be looking into it already. No action has been taken. The city has essentially ghosted clinic and clinic defenders all this time so far. And there's also many other issues I want to address, from destruction of naturally occurring affordable housing for its market rate housing, to environmentalism, to displacement of Black community. And I just want to say, well, if I had 3 minutes, I'd probably be able to say more, but please address intersectionalities with respect. Don't use the old playbook where you would pit equally valid issues against each other. But yeah, let this election outcome be a reminder more people are paying attention. And nice words at the end cannot shield you from accountability. Thanks.
Wanda Gilbert Coker signed up, but I don't see her here. I want to make sure. Okay. Casey Stiers. After that, we have Lauren Roper, Joy Gatlin, Reeves Peeler, and Princess Richardson.
I'm actually going to speak on behalf of Lauren and Dwight. They're neighbors of mine. We're here on behalf of the Glenwood South Committee. Welcome, new councilman. I'm Casey Stiers. I'm also a realtor in the area. And we choose to live in the Glenwood South area. We do feel safe, and we love the vibe of the entertainment district and being able to walk to the restaurants and bars. And I love how many people are able to be employed by these businesses. That's a really big thing. It's like close to 6,000 people that these businesses employ. And like I said, we're there for the vibe, and it's a happy place to live. We're all one big happy family there. But the one thing I would say is more police on the weekends. I have noticed, I am a regular in a lot of the places, and I have noticed a cutback of the police on Friday and Saturday nights. Not every night we're asking, just Fridays and Saturday nights would be awesome. And I'm speaking on behalf of a few other people here, if they'll raise their hands. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Could we follow up with the chief on the status of police and get a report on what we're doing on Glenwood South on weekend nights? Okay, thank you. All right. Reeves Peeler. And then Princess Richardson.
Hi, everybody. My name's Reeves Peeler. Just first wanted to congratulate 4 new council members. It's really awesome, and I can't wait to see what you all have in store for the next 4 years. Second,
2 years.
I want to applaud.
2.
It's in my head. Second, I applaud our previous council's move to shift city elections to the even years. I think it was a great thing y'all did. Created much higher voter turnout. Created probably a more inclusive and democratic election cycle than there's probably ever been in Raleigh, definitely in my lifetime. But I want to challenge our new council to keep that going, keep this trend continuing in 2022. I think we can make our next city election even better by lowering our city campaign contribution limits. Right. So this election, we had one candidate who actually raised over $730,000. I'm just going by the pre-election report, but this included 40 donations of the state's max limit of $5,600. So that's a lot of money. This high maximum contribution limit set by our state makes it pretty easy for extreme wealth to sway our elections. So I think we can follow the lead of many other cities across the country that are of similar size. For example, Austin, Texas allows a maximum of $450 per person. Portland, Oregon allows a max of $508. And then our neighbors in Chapel Hill and Carborough have both lowered their local limits. Chapel Hill has a $378 per person max. So I look forward to seeing more progress in the next 2 years or 4 years towards ensuring all people in Raleigh have an equal say in the city's politics. Thanks.
Thank you. Is Princess Richardson here? Is Princess here? Okay. All right, that is the end of public comment for this evening. I am going to just ask that we take a brief break before we start public hearings. Thank you. And that will give everybody who wants to leave an opportunity to leave. Larry? Larry?
What's happening? Taking a brief break. Because some people are going to leave. If y'all need to go to the bathroom.
matters scheduled for public hearing. The first item on our agenda is the Federal FY 2023-24 Annual Housing Action Plan. Lamont, you'll be speaking on this, and then we'll open the hearing. We have 5 people signed up to speak.
Good evening, Mayor and members of Council. I'm Lamont Taylor from Housing and Neighborhoods, and I have a brief presentation to provide information about our annual action planning process and to provide a bit of context for tonight's public hearing. So here's a brief agenda of some of the items I'll cover in my presentation. So the annual action plan is the city's application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, also known as HUD, for annual entitlement funding. It provides the budget and the framework for production goals which align with the city's 5-year consolidated plan. The fiscal year 23-24 annual action plan is the 4th year implementation of the current comp plan. In a typical year, the city receives just under $5 million from HUD's entitlement programs, and those programs are the Home Investment Partnership Act, also known as HOME, the Community Development Block Grant Program, or CDBG, and the Emergency Solutions Grant Program, or ESG. The annual action plan is a detail of the sources and uses that the city will use to address the priority goals in the consolidated plan. And those goals are to increase the supply of affordable housing, increase services to build self-sufficiency and sustainability, and to enhance the homeless housing continuum. Affordable housing programs include rental development, down payment assistance, and homeowner rehabilitation and repair. Self-sufficiency and sustainability programs include public services such as the Community Enhancement Grant Program, which provides funding to local nonprofits that serve low and moderate income residents. Services to help those experiencing or at risk of homelessness are provided through programs including rapid rehousing, homelessness prevention, emergency shelter, and other services to create housing stability. Over the course of the next 6 months, staff will develop a draft plan for public comment as well as for city council adoption, or city council consideration, excuse me. And we will engage in a fairly extensive public participation process to get input about the plan as well as comments about the draft. In addition to tonight's public hearing, there are additional ways for the public to provide input on the plan. There will be a public survey, and there will be three community input sessions to be scheduled in early 2023. The public can also provide written comments to Housing and Neighborhoods via email. And one thing that I didn't mention is that the public hearing tonight is the first of 2 required public hearings by HUD. It is the purpose and intent of this public hearing is to receive input from residents about community needs and how we may address them with the plan. And so I wanted to share that for additional context. This ends my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do we have any questions for Lamont? Councilmember Jones?
Good evening. Thank you so much. Just a quick question about the public survey. Is that only online, or will that be distributed in person at like community centers?
That's a great question, and we actually are working on the survey right now. It will be available online, and it will be available hard copy.
Thank you so much.
Hi.
Hi.
So one of the questions I had is around, like, how would this include rental stuff, like rent relief or anything to help renters?
Yes. So I mentioned one program on one of the slides. It's called Rapid Rehousing, and that provides rapid rehousing to those who have been displaced by homelessness. We also have other programs that focus on prevention, and so the funding would fund those programs.
Okay, I joined this community engagement process. I just want to like really uplift that part as one of the only people, if one of the few people or only people on council who's a renter. That's like a top concern for me. Just like dealing with the skyrocketing cost of rent going up every year and trying to live in this city. I would be remiss to not mention that.
Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay. We will open the public hearing then. We have 8 minutes. No one has signed up to speak in support, but again, this is not a support, this is more of an input session. So the first person, Lisa Huguet. And Lisa, keep in mind there's at least 3 additional people who signed up to speak. One person is not here. Excellent, thank you.
Okay, good evening. Congratulations, Mayor and Council, on your reelection and new election. Lisa Hewitt. As you might guess, I have entirely too many ideas on affordable housing to be able to communicate them all tonight. So I'll submit those via email, and tonight we'll focus on process. First, you need to clarify before the meeting what you are asking for in this first public hearing. What Lamont just said is now clear to me. Only after the meeting last year and going through several rounds of emails with staff last year did I figure out what you were seeking during this first public hearing. I'd venture to say that I wasn't the only one, because last year that plan received 12 comments total through the entire process. So that's what I want to talk about. I'd like to see a robust communication plan to get the word out that you are seeking ideas and solutions. Realize who your target audience is and meet them where they are. Your communications need to be creative, survey, maybe not so creative, and unrelenting. A great place to start is with the Wake Affordable Housing Coalition. They are the nonprofits. They are the experts on the ground. They have a treasure trove of needs and ideas. Tap into it. I'd also like to provide an annual action plan for us to review that's not a HUD application and one that's not 100 pages. It's repetitive, it's circular, it's dense. Submit the HUD document to the government bureaucrats, but give us something that we can actually read. One final thing, please, use specific objectives with metrics, not buckets of money. Show us what results you expect and not how much it's going to cost. That's called a budget. That's all the time I have for tonight. Hope you have a good holiday.
Thank you. We could hold the time, please. Next, Cole McMullen. Is Cole still here? Okay, Hua Huang.
Hi, I just want to take this opportunity to add that last time I attended a meeting regarding a housing plan in, I believe, spring 2022 at the Method Community Center. It was literally me and one other person who came. Just 2. So you want to keep that in mind when you want to, I guess, check box your to-do list on what you count as citizen engagement. So, and also, yes, as far as what we've seen, from what I've seen when I've been doing this housing justice with Wake County Housing Justice Coalition and many other advocates, we see that the plan has been, how do I put this? It's difficult to believe that the city will do right by the people as it currently stands. The city has claimed to build affordable housing over the years, but when pressed for housing affordable to low-income residents, the response has either been that it's at 60% AMI or below, case in point with Dix Park development, or that it's market rate and we should just have faith in Reaganomics for affordability to trickle down. If Dix Park development continues business as usual, for example, Raleigh will repeat the tragedy that was done upon the Seneca Village that got erased and replaced with Central Park. On another note, the city celebrates the establishment of accessory dwelling units as one of the solutions for affordable housing, and there's publication from Harvard Business Review pointing out on how ADU without restrictions on Airbnb rental actually increased 20% average annual increase in U.S. rent. This is an article written by Ron Beckerman, so look into that. And furthermore, there is an issue with a plot of land near Moore Square that the city is considering selling out to private developers. That area has been used by folks from Funab Bombs, Milford, Master to feed the homeless every weekend. So I'm going to keep that brief and leave that for someone who actually is directly involved with Funab Bombs to talk about this later. But I will also just gonna quote Dr. Lamicia Whittington from Evans, Carolina. Let's not call it gentrification anymore. It's too cute. It's theft. Theft of the livelihoods of the residents who work hard to make their lives here for themselves and for their future generations to thrive. One more issue. Please inform the people that the missing middle does not mean affordable housing for middle class. The planning department explained in a meeting on January that it's still market rate. So for table 4 Democrats, there's a lot of preaching for Reaganomics. And as one of the speakers also just said, the affordable housing seems like a scam. We know it is because the people who are homeless, who are in the low income bracket, are not in the center of the conversation of the decision-making process. So meet with them and meet with them at Moore Square. Yes, like the previous person said, be creative. And so take the plan back to square one and show some real commitment and dedication to the people who are impacted by the constant onslaught of racist capitalism. Thank you.
Haley Kinsler.
Sorry, y'all, it's hard with glasses and a mask. So I was the other person that was at the meeting. And, you know, we were there for a great deal of time asking questions about the annual action plan and what the goals that are listed within it are, and how they were going to go about community engagement and bringing people into the conversation. Even having attended that meeting, when I saw that this was listed for the hearing, it wasn't clear what the hearing was for. That was not clear to me, even though I went to the last meeting with city staff. And like you said, on the city website, you have to sign up in support or opposition, but that doesn't seem to really reflect the contents of the hearing, which I think further obscured what the purpose of it was. In talking about the way that that money is going to be allocated, something to keep in mind is the last couple of annual action plans had large amounts of money that went to the Raleigh-Wake partnership to end homelessness. And to my understanding, that partnership has since ceased, at least in terms of city collaboration. And I think there needs to be transparency around why that is, because if we saw that, if your metrics were showing that that partnership was too expensive and it wasn't producing the outcomes that the city needed to address housing affordability needs in Raleigh, then how do we know that that's not going to happen again with the upcoming annual action plan? Furthermore, I think that we had a lot of people here who are unhoused and who are experiencing homelessness. And I recall that at one of the forums, Megan Patton said that the people that are the closest to the problem are the closest to the solutions. And I think that's very much the case here. These are folks who are going to understand best what their needs are in terms of housing affordability. And so I think that if you're looking for community engagement, they need to be at the forefront of that plan. You need to be coming to Moore Square to talk to them. You need to make sure that they have a good understanding of what this plan is in terms of home ownership assistance, renter assistance, but also in creating affordable housing, low-income housing for people 30% AMI and below. And I will leave you with the fact that, as was mentioned by Hua, we are considering selling a city-owned property at the corner of Martin and Person Street, which currently has a public property there that people use to distribute food and clothes and resources to people who are currently unhoused and homeless. And so I feel that with this plan, I don't understand how you can consider selling a city-owned property and be creating affordable housing on a plot of land that you could be using funding from the annual action plan to develop one, especially considering that the housing bond is included as one of the line items on the annual action plan. Thank you.
Thank you. So this is a procedural hearing, so no motion is needed. I just want to clarify that's correct with the city attorney. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next, we have street closing STC 08-2022, portion of Seaboard Avenue right-of-way. We'll hear from staff. No one has signed up in opposition.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and Council. My name is Ann Conlon in Transportation. Find this. So before I get into the specifics of this case, I'd just like to briefly go over our right-of-way closing process. That process, as laid out here, is laid out in state statute. We use that process to close right-of-way, whether it's an entire street closure, a portion of right-of-way along the edge of a street or an alley, or if it's a right-of-way that has been dedicated but no street has been built. So staff reviews each closure based on the policy in the comprehensive plan. You can see that policy here. We are considering connectivity for vehicles and pedestrians, our ability to provide utility service and emergency access, as well as other policies by the Historic Development Commission and the overall public interest. This particular closure tonight was previously approved, but a portion of what was approved was not recorded by the deadline in the resolution. So we are bringing it back to you tonight to give you an idea of how this fits in to a couple of closures that have occurred, just laying out the overall development this closure is associated with, the Seaboard Station development in Northeast Downtown. There were 3 different blocks and street closures associated with each block. Again, these are partial closures of a strip of right-of-way. In this case, as part of the review of these projects, we determined the area that was needed to serve these and the street type that was needed and are closing the excess right-of-way here. So tonight's closure is for the red portion you see here along Block A. This was, as I said, this was previously approved along with the gray stripe portion that was STC 07, but the portion associated with Block A, again, was not recorded by the deadline, which is why we are bringing it back. So there is an approved site plan contingent on this closure. Staff has reviewed the closure and found it to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Does anybody have any questions? Nope. Okay, well, I am going to open the hearing then. Molly Stewart is here to speak in support. No one has signed up to speak in opposition.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Councilors. Molly Stewart, Morningstar Law Group. You heard the entire story from Ann. There's very little to add to that. The history here is that this request was approved for both sides of Seaboard Avenue. You saw that layout. The much larger piece was on the north side of Seaboard Avenue, and that was approved. That plat was recorded. Those are 2 separate site plans for what's called Block A on the southern side and Block B on the northern side. Block A was held up with some complications, and so Block B went forward. That got recorded. Meanwhile, A got behind in the schedule, so the plat just got behind, and so effectively the request tonight is for renewal of a small portion of that previous approval. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody have any questions of Molly? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing then. Do we have a motion?
Madam Mayor, I move for approval of this street closure.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That was unanimous, clerk. Thank you. Next, we have street closing STC 09-2022, Triangle Town Boulevard Extension right-of-way.
Second. All right. This is another repeat closure. This one is for a small portion of right-of-way that was originally dedicated for the extension of Triangle Town Boulevard. After that dedication, the comprehensive plan was amended, and that extension is no longer in the plan. And so as part of the development of this area, the applicant is seeking to close the right-of-way. So previously it was approved in 2021. There is a site plan conditioned on that approval, and several easements are recommended to be retained. And with those easements in place, staff found this to be consistent with the comprehensive plan. And once again, this is the policy laid out in that plan that we reviewed. So I am happy to answer any questions on this one.
Anybody have any questions? Okay. I am going to open the hearing then. Tommy Craven is here to speak in support. No one has signed up in opposition.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Tommy Craven. I'm with the land use consulting firm of Priest Craven and Associates. Here tonight representing the property owners that adjoin this small remnant of excess right-of-way. We agree with the staff's position on this, their comments, their recommendations, and the conditions of the plat will all be met. I'll be glad to answer any questions that anyone might have.
Do we have any questions for Tommy, who, by the way, is a former city councilor? So.
Long ago and far away.
Any questions? Okay, I'm going to close the hearing then. Do we have a motion?
I move for approval.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay, thank you. Next, we have petition annexation AX 3122 for 12201 Leesville Road. This is something that I have been recused on before. I'm going to ask that I be excused again. So if somebody could make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. If
Aye.
you could take this, Councilman Bryant.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll have staff present on this petition for annexation.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. My name is Christopher Golden. I'm with Comprehensive Planning and Development. The annexation that you have before you tonight is on a 20-acre site. It's the property from Triangle Golf Foundation, zoned industrial mixed use, 3 with parkway frontage, scenic highway overlay district, and an airport overlay district as well. The plans for this property is proposed expansion of office use, a learning center, a playground, and a driving range. If annexed today, it will be brought into the boundaries of District E, and there's currently a site permit review on this property. I'm more than happy to answer any questions if you have them. Also of note, water and sewer is available on Leesville Road for this, so it's directly adjacent to the property.
Okay. Are there any questions from any council members on this annexation? Seeing none, we have Andy Paddock, who's in support of this case. There's no one signed up in opposition. Andy, is there anything you would like to say? You gotta open the hearing. I'll open the hearing. Anything you would like to say? All right, I'll close the hearing. Is there a motion for this case?
I move to approve this case. Is that what I say? This case?
Annexation.
Annexation, there it is. I approve to approve this annexation.
It's been moved and properly second for the approval of the annexation AX 3122. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed have the same right. Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right. If someone can tap the mayor and bring the mayor back in while staff comes up for rezoning Z6721 North Hills Assemblage.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I return it back to you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. Good evening, members of council. It's great to be with all of you. My name is Bynum Walter. I work in the Planning and Development Department. And if I'm talking and you're hearing me, it's usually about rezoning. That's all true tonight. Looking forward to working with all of you. So our first rezoning tonight, and I just will hearken back to what happened this afternoon. Remember, Travis asked you to schedule public hearings? That's how I got on the agenda tonight. You guys scheduled public hearings a while back. So just sort of a reminder of what's going on with the process, right? So this is a request to rezone a little bit over 11 acres in the North Hills area. The change would be going, and I'm going to say more tonight about most things than I usually do because we're all new friends. This is going from CX5, parking limited, and CX12, urban limited, to higher height districts, all with urban limited frontage and a lot of zoning conditions. This is consistent with the future land use map, the urban form map, and the comprehensive plan overall, and the Planning Commission did recommend approval. And you can see in the red area on the map on the right, that area is all already zoned commercial mixed use. The areas with the heavy black outlines are what's proposed to be rezoned. And so that's where the height and the frontage would be changing and the conditions as well. And so the update tonight is that at the last council meeting, council deferred a decision on this item to allow time for further discussion. While the case has not changed since then, the council has changed, and the applicant is requesting that you continue the public hearing to March 7th of next year. That the March 7th of 2023. If you change the schedule during your retreat, I would say we're trying to move the public hearing to the first evening meeting of March, whatever that may be, where you discuss public hearings. And I'm happy to walk through the conditions for you as they stand to now, but since you're likely to defer,
Why don't we walk through the conditions so everybody is familiar with them?
Absolutely. So here is a map that shows you the 3 nodes that are called out in the zoning conditions. So node 1 is on the west side of Six Forks. It's the most northernmost piece. It's up here, right? On the west side of Six Forks, kind of in the middle of the screen here, is the Six Forks node. And the height request there is a maximum height of CX30. The northern piece, node 1, is CX12. Everything has that urban limited frontage. And then the 440 node on the southwest corner here, down here, would have a maximum height of CX40. And so there are a lot of conditions here. So the conditions establish the nodes. They prohibit a handful of uses. They require dedication of sufficient right-of-way for the construction of bicycle infrastructure improvements as specified by the city. So part of this zoning case is that to understand the traffic, the applicant performed a vehicle miles traveled analysis, and to justify the traffic generation that they were relying on, they are providing additional pedestrian and bicycle infrastructure to support that. They have also specified in condition 4 land dedication at time of site plan for the development of a transit station that meets city specifications. They have provided for bike share stations on the property or elsewhere in the area, depending on how things play out. They have also specified that in the Lassiter District node that they would provide sufficient area to support redevelopment of Fire Station 9. So that station is existing and operational, and this would allow the city to redevelop that with a bigger firehouse that could house bigger equipment, more equipment. They have provided for some step backs in the 440 node if at a certain height in the building. Let me put that menu away so you can see that. And they've specified where that step back would happen in the building. They've also provided for a step back in the Lassiter node. And then they have provided a condition that specifies that they would provide some percentage of affordable units above and beyond any number of units that's built, and that those would be affordable to 80% of AMI and would be controlled that way for 10 years. And with that, they would follow the standards determined annually by the City of Raleigh Housing and Neighborhood Department. They have provided a condition that limits building height in the I believe it's actually the 440 node to 37 stories. That's the area that would allow 40 stories. And then they have said that no building permit for any new building in the Six Forks node would be issued prior to January of 2026. And I'm happy to answer questions you might have about the conditions. The applicant's also here if you have questions for the applicant.
Could you just explain why on the building code, the building permit?
The delay.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a couple of things. One is about settling down the transit and fire infrastructure, the commitments there, so that we have enough time to plan as a city organization to be ready and prepared for new construction that comes.
And the way it was explained to me too from the committee meeting was that would ensure that we are moving forward on changes to Six Forks Road. And
Right.
So having the transportation plan moving forward. Okay. Do we have any, Councilmember Branch?
Yeah, just one thing, just for clarification, I think on one of your nodes, the height was switched. 440 node should be 30 stories and Six Forks should be 40 stories. In the little box.
Up here.
Your heights, yeah, they got switched. Yep.
Great.
Just so that everybody know we're on the up and up.
Thank you. I apologize for that.
Okay. Any questions for Bynum? Councilmember Patton?
Yeah, I have two questions. My first question is if you can go back to condition 3. It mentions payment in lieu of dedication for bike infrastructure. So there's a possibility we would not end up with bike infrastructure. And I guess my question is around where would the money go? What kind of fee would be assessed, et cetera?
You will hear me say this many times. I cannot answer that question, but I have a phone a friend in the transportation department. I think I'm going to fall back to Ann Conlon on that one. Or Jason Myers, excuse me.
Jason Myers in Transportation. When the city accepts fees in lieu for transportation improvements, they are revenues that can be budgeted through the capital improvement program towards transportation projects. They are not segregated by zone or anything. City council can decide exactly where they want those to go in basically in any place. And the way that those are budgeted is at the beginning of a budget cycle, we'll look at what the revenue was in the previous year and then allocate those. And those fees are set by the fee schedule, which is also part of the adopted budget. And so there's quantities, for instance, by maybe square yard of concrete in a sidewalk or linear feet of curb and gutter, and those fees are what are charged if a fee in lieu is charged at a building permit time. Does that answer your question, ma'am?
Yes.
But it brings up a question I have. So there's no guarantee that if in lieu of the money for the bike infrastructure, that it'll go back into the district?
No.
Okay.
And no. The simple answer is no.
There's no guarantees, but certainly that is why the district councilor would advocate for that. Yes. Councilwoman Jones.
In condition 9, I had spoken with the applicant, and I just want to clarify. It says if more than 2,500 units are built, but there was no indication from what their during our discussion, they were going to do 1,200 units instead of ever reaching 2,500. So I just wanted that point of clarification. Is that even intended to meet? And I'm not sure if that's a question for the applicant or for you. I just wanted to make sure it was known that through our discussion, there was no intent to meet
The
that
condition
2,500.
doesn't commit them to building 2,521 multifamily marker 8 units.
Mhm.
They're saying that if they do that, only then would they provide a percentage of affordable units above and beyond that.
Okay. I just wanted that to be clear. Thank you.
That was identical to a condition that was approved for another rezoning in North Hills. I think.
Navajo Drive, yep.
Yes, Navajo Drive. And I think the language comes from the Midtown Plan.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? All right, I am, okay. Councilmember Patton.
Yeah, sorry, I had two, so I'm just going to finish the last one. The Planning Commission approved this 4-1. Could you tell us what the concerns are of the one?
I'm going to have to look that up, but yes, I can.
Are you looking that up now, Bynum? Okay.
Right, at the time, his proposal does not adequately address affordable housing.
Oh, you're
So
going
that was the
faster than
one.
I am.
Yeah, I already had it open.
Yeah. So the Planning Commission vote is always in the certified recommendation, and there's usually an explanation there of the reason for the vote, which is what I was looking up and Mr. Branch already had pulled up.
Beat out Gale today and now Bynum. What can we say?
I thought you liked me.
Okay, so they have asked for this case to be deferred to the first meeting in March. So I am going to keep the hearing open, and we will hear back from this case at that first meeting. And I believe the intent is so they can meet with all council members, especially new members. That hasn't happened, and also look at the conditions. So,
Is that your motion?
yes.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. That was unanimous, clerk. Thank you. All right, next we have rezoning Z3122 Harrington Street. Now, there was also a change to this rezoning, okay?
Yes, ma'am. So this is an old item, a public hearing that was previously opened back in October and continued to November. This is a request to rezone 0.13 acres from DX5 with an urban limited frontage to the downtown mixed-use district. That's remaining the same. The height would increase, the allowed height would increase to 12 stories. That's a change from the last time council reviewed this previously. The request was for 20 stories. The urban limited frontage would remain in place, and the applicant has offered a number of conditions here. Planning Commission recommended approval of the previous request. The request has become more restrictive since then. And new zoning conditions were submitted on the 23rd and are ripe for your consideration this evening. You can see this property is located on the west side of South Harrington Street. We're just north of the Fairweather and south of West Cabarrus. So the property to be rezoned is outlined in yellow in that large red area on the right-hand side of the screen. So here's an aerial view of the site. You can see there's a power station just east of this, and you can see the Fairweather to the south of the site here in the image. A couple of views of the site. So new since November 23rd. I said there are a number of new conditions. I wasn't lying. There are quite a few. So they have, in addition to prohibiting a handful of uses, that was in the case previously, they have specifically prohibited nightclubs, but have said that that would not prohibit any other uses within the restaurant bar category. They have limited the size of any individual eating establishment to not exceed 4,000 square feet. And they have limited hours of operation for an eating establishment as well. They have limited the size of any bar, tavern, or lounge not to exceed 4,000 square feet. And then they have specified building materials for the first 5 stories of new construction. And they have also provided for a 6-foot fence along the shared boundary with the Fairweather. They have limited pole-mounted lighting and mechanical equipment between new construction and the Fairweather. Just limited the height of those things. And then there are a number of conditions here that apply if the property in question is redeveloped with a structure greater than 5 stories. So that only if the building is 5 stories or more do those kick in. They have specified setback, a maximum transparency, and then a greater setback if the transparency is different there. They have provided for a vertical articulation of the facade. They have specified visual transparency of glass facing the Fairweather. They have limited external illumination on the Fairweather side of their site. They have regulated prohibited illuminated signage aside from very functional utilitarian signage on the Fairweather side of their site. And then they have prohibited balconies as well on the Fairweather side. They are also obligated to conduct a structural survey of the Fairweather building and install and operate vibration monitoring sensors along the property line for the duration of construction. So a lot of considerations here in terms of how this site will develop in relationship to the existing Fairweather on the south side of the site. That is where the case stands now. Again, the applicant is here and can answer questions you might have. And I'm happy to answer questions if you have them before you hear from the applicant.
I'll just say no one has signed up in opposition. That was not the case during the first hearing. But as you can see, a number of new conditions have been offered to address the concerns that were expressed. So does anybody have any questions for Bynum? Okay, the public hearing is open. I believe Worth Mills is here. Worth, do you want to add anything?
Yes, good evening, Mayor, members of council. Worth Mills on behalf of the applicant, 4509 Creedmoor Road, Suite 302, Raleigh, NC. This slide here, I think, best illustrates the amount of work that we've made since this case was heard on October 4th. This was also a 20-story rezoning. As Bynum mentioned, it's been reduced to 12 stories. We had an in-person meeting with the Fairweather HOA officers and those residents who have been involved throughout the rezoning process on October 20th at nearby Sam Jones Barbecue. And we continued those back and forth email correspondence and phone calls with Suzanne Prince, who has been sort of the spokesperson for the Fairweather up until the week before Thanksgiving. So I want to say thank you to the Fairweather residents who are in attendance tonight for working with CJ Mann and myself and the rest of our design professionals. And we're really proud to be back before you with this set of conditions tonight. But happy to answer any questions about specific conditions or work we've done with the neighborhood.
Could those from the Fairweather who are here raise their hands? Thank you. Thanks for being here. Okay. Any questions for Worth?
Say anything? I know that did the applicant want to say anything? I know the applicant's here.
Well, if there's no questions, I think I'm ready to close the hearing. Okay. All right. Close the hearing. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion to approve this. I have been to visit the Fairweather with neighbors, and I appreciate the work that the applicant has done to provide conditions. And I think
there's a consistency statement.
Very particular, I will
Yeah.
say that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
There's a consistency, so just so everybody knows, when you make a motion on a zoning case, there's a consistency statement included that needs to be read.
Great.
And there you go.
Great, got it.
And just let me interject that you are adopting that consistency statement, which is a requirement of state law. So that's why every time you pass a rezoning, we'll do zoning school later, I think, but it's, you have to provide that justification so that it's a state law requirement.
Should probably add this to future orientations.
We're learning as we go, so thank you. But again, I do move to adopt the proposed consistency statement dated December 6, 2022, contained in the agenda materials, and to approve the zoning amendment with the adoption and effective dates described in the agenda item under recommended action.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? That was unanimous, clerk?
Good job.
All right. Next, we have rezoning Z3422, Hillsborough Street Assemblage. This is also held open from our November 1st meeting.
That's right, and the public hearing was continued.
Thank you to the Fairweather folks for being here and for working with Worth and CJ to bring these conditions forward. Thank you. Bynum.
So the public hearing was continued for November 1. We have new conditions tonight for your consideration. Just taking a look at the site here. So this is on the north side of Hillsborough Street, just west of the fairgrounds. A portion of the property currently is zoned NX, that's the neighborhood mixed use district, and a portion of it is zoned R10, which typically allows only residential and some civic uses. The proposal would take the entirety to that base district of neighborhood mixed use with a 5-story height limit, urban limited frontage, and conditions. And there are a lot of conditions I want to run through with you tonight. Just an aerial view of this site so you can see largely residential to the north and northwest here. So there are a handful of conditions already in place here, and they've added some more. So they've prohibited a number of uses. They've said that non-residential uses would only be permitted within 120 feet of the Hillsborough Street right-of-way. They've limited their non-residential, the square footage of non-residential square footage on the site in development. They've prohibited drive-through and drive-in. What does condition 5 mean? I have a picture tonight. It means that building height and habitable space height is limited in this area shown in red on the site. This is also an exhibit in your backup if you need to look at it again. So it's limiting building height to 55 feet in that red area and habitable space to 50 feet in height. And then for the rest of the property that's not subject to condition 5, building height is limited to 70 feet in height. They have specified some building materials that are acceptable. There's that drawing again. They have made some provision here about ingress along Youth Center Drive. That's on the east side of the site rather than directly into the neighborhood. And if they can use the Youth Center Drive right-of-way, then they are saying that they will prohibit vehicular access to Dorcas and Grand Avenue, which is that northwest corner, the north and west boundary of the site, unless otherwise required by the state or the city. And then they have limited the 1, 2, 10, and 25-year storms so that post-development and pre-development condition do not vary. So a couple of views of the site. Happy to answer questions for you before you hear, if you want to hear from the applicant or ask applicant questions after me.
Okay. Councilmember Harrison.
Yeah, and I'm not sure who this all might go to, perhaps the applicant and someone from transportation. But we've had some discussion back and forth about getting approval for Youth Center Drive for entry and exit of this complex. And I wonder if either perhaps Michael Moore could speak to this from the city. Also be curious to hear from the applicant again about their conversations with DOT about use of that road. This kind of plan right now is predicated on getting that approval. I'd just be curious to hear a little bit more about the potential for that, the crystal ball probabilities that Michael has, and how things may change at the site plan stage should Youth Center Drive, not be available.
I'm going to defer to transportation.
Good evening, and again, welcome to all the new council members. It's great to see you this evening, and welcome back to all of our previous council members. I'm not a great prognosticator. I'm not a gambling man, but we do have a good relationship working with NCDOT. And I think I would just share that there is in our UDO and in sort of the design concepts that we've got around some of the state maintained roads, we would probably not be looking at trying to get driveways back out to Hillsborough Street. Leaves us really only a couple of options. We've got a good relationship with NCDOT. We would work with the applicant. We would work with the community and try to get that access to a place where it would be a better situation. We're lucky in that the driveway spacing there on Youth Center Drive is actually fairly good. It kind of meets the standards. So we would be willing to sit down and work with everybody to get the best result that we could on that. The NCDOT, if any kind of driveway access would be permitted on Hillsborough, for example, it's likely to be a right in or right out, would not be a full access, which we would find would probably be less desirable than trying to get more access to back into Youth Center. So.
And Michael, can you just explain a little more? So if for some reason that DOT road couldn't be used, then at the site planning stage, how would we deal with potential traffic? I believe there's 300 parking spaces planned, and the Westover neighborhood is about 150 homes there.
Yeah. So when we get to site plan, we would, and NCDOT would also likely require a TIA at that point. So here at this rezoning, we don't require that, but when we get to that site plan, we would be looking at that. That would tell us then what improvements that we would need to do, and it would sort of give us that direction to work with DOT on the best possible result. It's going to maybe even to that point may suggest that there are some improvements that are required on Youth Center Drive to get maybe some dedicated turn lanes out, which I know I've heard from the community in the past that would be helpful in some of that event traffic. Instead of having that back up and have people try to cut around in the community, it would help kind of keep a little bit of that free flow going. But again, that's going to be when we get to that site plan point, and the TIA would be part of that.
Great. Yeah, thank you. And if the applicant, when they have a chance, could also talk about conversations they've had with DOT, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
I have one question for
Yes.
Michael, too. Michael, is it also possible with the TIA when it's done, even though they have a max right now, I think I'm seeing 180 here, their TIA may require them to reduce that number in order to meet the traffic?
Councilmember, yes, sir. That's a very, very good point, that if we can't meet the kind of performance requirements that we've got for capacity and turning movements and safety, it may actually require them to sort of pull the density and the intensity of the use down. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is continuation of the hearing. I have 4 people who have signed up in opposition: Louis Shiner, Lori Mailer, Mary Fosnot, and Maggie Lawrence. Are you all here this evening? Just raise your hand if you are. Okay. So what I'm going to do is, Worth, let's add 4 minutes to each side, and we will continue the hearing. So Worth, you will have 4 minutes, and then those in opposition will have 4 minutes.
Great. Thank you, Mayor, members of council, Worth Mills, on behalf of the rezoning applicant. When we were before the council on November 1st, the three concerns that we took from the Westover neighborhood were traffic, stormwater, and building height. And we've made significant progress on those three items. We have reduced the building height in the northwest corner of habitable space by 15 feet to 50 feet, and overall building height by 10 feet to 55 feet. We've also reduced that portion of the property outside of that condition to 70 feet, as Bynum mentioned. There was conversation about the right-of-way access or the youth center drive access condition that we had. We have added that language that it is subject to both City of Raleigh and NCDOT approval, since it is a state-maintained road. And we've added the language stating that the access to Dorcas Street and Grand Avenue would be prohibited if that driveway permit were granted by the state. Lisa Lundeen, our traffic engineer with Exalt Engineering, has had preliminary conversations with some engineers at the NCDOT. They don't foresee any issues with granting a driveway permit at Youth Center Drive. Those are all preliminary conversations, but what we've had so far is encouraging. So this slide here is a concept plan prepared by Withers Ravenel that highlights the conditions. You can see this area here, 50 feet of habitable space, wrapping the 55-foot tall parking deck, and the balance of the site limited to 70 feet. We're showing 8-foot sidewalks on Dorcas Street and Grand Avenue, and we are showing 12-foot wide multi-use paths along Youth Center Drive and Hillsborough. And you can also note the one singular driveway access that we have planned along Youth Center Drive. Jay Davis also prepared this massing study for us, where you can see the step down in height from Hillsborough Street as you approach Dorcas Street, again going from 70 to 55 to 50. From that massing study, we were able to do a shade study as well to see the impacts on adjacent single-family homes. The shade in the winter, when you're going to have the most shade impacts, are fairly minimal. There are impacts at 9, but at noon and 4 p.m., those are all shifted further east. And then during the summer months, shade is really not a factor at all for any of the adjacent single-family homes. Lisa and her team also ran a trip generation study. This is based off of solely a residential-only development, although we have allowed for commercial space as well. Under this scenario, we would be projecting to add 22 trips in the AM peak hour and 2 trips in the PM peak hour versus what is currently entitled for the property today. We also looked at trip distribution, where you can see where these cars are going to be coming from and going to. The left side shows the percentage of distribution. The right shows the total number of AM and PM peak hour trips. Split fairly evenly between those turning north and south onto Youth Center Drive, but the key is that we do not see any scenario in which drivers would need to go through the interior of Westover to access Hillsborough or Youth Center Drive. We think that the changes that we've made are reasonable and in the public interest, and we're happy to answer any questions that you have. Thank you.
Thank you. Worth, don't go anywhere yet. Any questions at this time?
I will say that Lisa is available if you have questions on traffic or those conversations with NCDOT.
Okay. No questions? Okay. Let's hear from the neighbors. We can do this one of several ways. You can split your time amongst you, 1 minute each. You can have a spokesperson for the 4 minutes, or 2 of you could speak for 2 minutes. So you decide how you'd like to do this.
No, sorry. 2 of us are foregoing, so we can split it between the 2. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Just if you'll give your name when you come up, and I guess you're each going to do 2 minutes.
I just have two words, really. Common sense.
And your name is?
Pardon? Oh, my name is Lou Shiner, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
And I live on Grand Avenue, which is right in the thick of this. We're being told that it's possible to more than double the population of our neighborhood and yet somehow, miraculously, not increase the traffic on our streets. We're being told that it's possible to pave over porous soil and somehow, miraculously, not increase the runoff. We're being told that just over one parking space per unit is more than enough, and somehow, miraculously, there will be no overflow of people trying to park on our extremely narrow streets. My experience is when someone tells you that you have to ignore your common sense, don't do it.
Okay.
Hello. Thank you, Mayor Baldwin and City Council members. Thank you for your service and for this opportunity that we can be more thoughtful in Raleigh's development. I'm Mary Fosnot. My family have lived in Westover since 2003. I'm a faculty member at NC State University. And I came to Raleigh in '98 and fell in love with the city because I saw that Raleigh was a city that didn't clear cut to develop. It invested in fabulous parks, green space, and sustainable infrastructure like greenway trails. And I have lived in many states and many countries, but this has been the best all-around city I've ever experienced, and I want us to keep it that way. We understand development must happen, but thoughtful development must be a priority. Zoning is in place to prevent haphazard and unsafe development. After an area develops and acquires the complementary infrastructure, then I feel it is appropriate to change the zoning to follow suit. Developing only the proposed area is not enough. It leads to sidewalks that go nowhere and increased safety issues for pedestrians. What makes this rezoning discussion different is that the surrounding area, the Hillsborough Street and Youth Center Drive, has the infrastructure of essentially no residential infrastructure. It's the infrastructure of an industrial area. That is, no sidewalks, crosswalks, traffic lights, bus stops. What is being suggested is to put a commercial building with an additional 400 people in an area that has no place for those people to walk other than our Westover neighborhood. It is a mile before there's a sidewalk on Hillsborough and none on Youth Center. Westover, with just its 150 homes, is already challenged for the safety of its pedestrians by lack of sidewalks and narrow streets. In summary, I feel considering a 5-story structure and an additional 270 homes in an area that lacks residential infrastructure does not speak to thoughtful development. I ask the City Council to set a precedent for visionary growth and development for our city by opposing this rezoning until a more comprehensive plan is in place, which includes DOT and NCDA input as originally agreed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do we have any additional questions? Okay, I'm going to then close the hearing. Do we have a motion?
Just going to say a few things, if that's okay.
Sure.
I appreciate everyone that's here from Westover. It's nice to see y'all. We've talked a bit about this one. I've been in your neighborhood, walked around. I know this area pretty well. You know, there are, I think, a lot of benefits in this case in terms of having some additional density in an area that is to be a future transit-oriented area. I hear you that we're not there yet. I know there's not sidewalks and it is difficult to get around there safely outside of the Westover neighborhood. The DOT piece is really what I've been paying attention to. I was concerned initially about stormwater impacts. I appreciate that the applicant is offering going above and beyond what is required, so they are going to follow 25-year storm rules. So I feel like they've done their part on that piece, and the Youth Center Drive is really the linchpin in terms of making sure that the traffic is not, having undue impact on the neighborhood. So I feel pretty confident about DOT being amenable from the conversations that I've had with transportation here, with what the applicant has had. And I am going to move to approve this case because I do believe ultimately that's where we would go. But I appreciate everything that you all have been bringing to the table. I think you have made this case better with the conditions. And I do move to say this, to adopt the proposed consistency statement dated December 6, 2022, contained in the agenda materials, and to approve the zoning amendment with the adoption and effective dates described in the agenda item under recommended action.
Second. Okay, seconded. All in favor? Aye. Do we have anybody opposed? Okay, that was Councilmember Black opposed, the rest in favor. Okay, thank you. Next, we have rezoning Z4622 at 490 Old Pool Road.
This is a request to rezone just under 14 acres from R4 to residential mixed use with a 5-story height limit, parking limited frontage, and some conditions. This property is located at the southeast corner of Old Pool and South New Hope Road. It's southwest of Pool Road. It is consistent with the future land use map and the comprehensive plan overall. Planning Commission does recommend approval. Would just call out to your attention that the eastern half of the site is covered by utility infrastructure and an easement, and the western half of the site, which is generally wooded now, is relatively undeveloped. To the south, there is some single-family development that abuts the site, and then on the east side, there's a townhouse neighborhood that's adjacent to the property as well. But the property on the west side of South New Hope is generally undeveloped. There's a couple of views of the site. So they have prohibited a handful of uses here. That's the only condition they've offered. The change in zoning here is increasing the potential residential density and the total residential entitlement. So roughly tripling, almost quadrupling of the entitlement here. And then the setbacks are changing also. So the front setback is decreasing. The side setback is allowed at the same scale under the current zoning, and then the rear setback is also going down. So this is consistent with a number of policies in the comprehensive plan. I think maybe of more interest to you is the inconsistent policies. So buffering requirements, building height transitions are both flagged as inconsistent here. Previously, staff had some concerns about mitigating stormwater impacts. Based on conversations that I've had with stormwater staff today, we are not concerned about the inconsistency of this policy. In fact, we no longer believe it to be inconsistent. And then the buffering height requirements and building height transitions are really about respecting the existing single family to the south. There is townhouse development to the east side, but given the scale of the utility easement on the property, there's a pretty significant buffer naturally occurring because of the disposition of the site. So Planning Commission recommends approval, and I would be happy to answer questions before you open the hearing and hear from the applicant. I do not believe you have anyone signed up in opposition to this tonight.
Yes, no one has signed up in opposition on this. Do we have any questions?
I have one. Bynum, can you tell us? I'm sorry.
I apologize.
It's all right. Can you tell us more about the last piece that you said about the stormwater? You no longer believe it to be inconsistent.
Sure, absolutely. So they did some stormwater assessment as part of review in preparing for Planning Commission review. And initially, stormwater staff had asked if they would provide a condition that matched the circumstance of the study to controls and conditions. And my understanding is that staff's interpretation is that the city regulations would enforce that anyway, but I can defer to Wayne Miles from Stormwater for more technical explanation, if that's helpful.
I'm Wayne Miles. I'm the Stormwater Program Manager and Engineering Services. So in this situation, there have been reported complaints downstream of structural flooding. What that does is that it automatically triggers a provision in the Unified Development Ordinance that they would have to provide additional stormwater controls to match peak flows up to a 100-year storm. So because of that structural flooding within a certain region of this rezoning case, it would trigger at the plan review stage a higher level of control for stormwater. So that's why we do believe that those issues would be addressed as part of the site plan review.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, ma'am. Before you open the hearing, I just want to say that staff is aware of a notice irregularity with this case and also the next case. The posted notice had the wrong meeting date. We know that the mailed notice was correct, but the posted notice was incorrect. So we would ask that you not act on either of these cases tonight, but defer them so that we can properly notice them, leave the hearing open so that we can make sure the posted notice is properly completed before you act.
Okay. I'm going to open the hearing. And as I said, no one has signed up to speak in opposition.
The notice wasn't proper for the hearing, so you should wait to open it until the notice is properly published and the letters are sent, because the public hearing wasn't noticed properly, so you need to wait to open it until they go through that second notice.
Okay, this will come back to us then on
January 3rd.
January 3rd, which already has a huge number of rezonings.
I have a question, because this is in my district, and I also know this is related to affordable housing. Is it possible we could do this January 17th? I'm asking the applicant. I'm saying that because probably if it's getting added to the agenda on the 3rd, you're going to be last, and it'll probably be midnight before we get to it.
May I add something to that, to Mayor Pro Tem Branch?
Yes.
Could we do it in the afternoon on January 3rd? Because you want to do it instead of, if it's affordable, is there enough time to do
I don't
afternoon
know if
meeting
staff,
January 3rd?
I don't know, that's the staff.
If you vote to notice it for that time right now,
Okay.
I think you can meet the publication
We could do-
requirements for that. I think you would just have to make a motion to say for that public hearing only, then that will be held on during the afternoon, and then they can put that in the letters and in the publication when it goes out. So
That would definitely work.
No one signed up in opposition.
No one signed up in
so-
opposition.
Yes.
Right, and it's affordable housing.
Yeah.
So I feel like
I think that is a good solution. Do you want to make that motion?
I'll defer to Mayor Pro Tem Branch.
I move for the public hearing for this case to be held January 3rd during our 1 p.m. meeting.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, that will be moved to the afternoon of January 3rd. Thank you for your patience tonight. Okay, next we have rezoning Z5722 on McLean Drive.
Yes, ma'am, and we have the same notice issue here, so we can't hold the hearing. I'm happy to make the staff presentation. In this instance, the delay actually aligns with the applicant's desire to delay action by the council in this case. So this is a request to rezone a number of parcels on McLean Drive, Old Wake Forest Road, and Old Wake Forest Road. It's about 12 acres, 14 parcels. All of this is going from R6 to R4 with conditions. It is consistent with the future land use map and the comprehensive plan. Planning Commission does recommend approval. And as I mentioned, the applicant is asking that the public hearing be continued to January 3rd. So this is a view of the site. We're on the west side of the railroad tracks, west of Atlantic Avenue, on the east side of Old Wake Forest here. A couple of views of the site. They have put a couple of conditions here. They've prohibited some uses, and they are limiting the total number of residential units allowed here to no more than 250. So you can see the entitlement here. So R6 does not allow office or retail, really any commercial use. But RX, the residential mixed-use district, does allow 4,000 square feet on the ground floor in a corner unit at the intersection of two public streets. They can have up to 4,000 square feet of commercial space. And so that's why you're seeing that 4,000 square feet there. And again, the maximum units limited to 2 additions. This is consistent with a number of policies in the comprehensive plan. Actually, no inconsistent policies were identified, and Planning Commission does recommend approval. And per advice from the city attorney, we're going to have the public hearing later. I think you do have some discretion in terms of when you want to hold that.
The applicant was making the request to move it to when?
To the 3rd. But I don't know if you want to bring that back in the afternoon as well.
What does our agenda look like? Do you have any idea in the afternoon?
Probably will be better to do the afternoon.
Okay. So do we have a motion?
I motion to hold this to the January 3rd meeting
At 1 p.m.
at 1 p.m.
All in favor? Aye. All right, that was unanimous. So, okay, thank you, everyone. This was first public hearing meeting of the new city council. Thank you, everyone, and I want to thank everybody for your patience tonight. And yes.
I'm out of order. But some of these hearings, they knew in advance they were going to be deferred. Why can't there be a system to notify the people that are sitting in the office that are signed up to speak? Some people deserve that same decency. The staff knew, some of the council knew, particularly these 57. There were half a dozen people here prepared to speak. Why, if they can notify us that we have permission to speak?
For which one? There were half dozen people here speak?
For the North Hills Assemblage.
67 of 21, there were half a dozen people prepared to speak in opposition. The last one that got deferred because of notification, I think there was only one person prepared for that one to speak in opposition. Yes. All I'm saying is you have a system to notify us that we're allowed to speak for the hearing. Why can't that same system turn around and notify us it's going to be deferred in advance?
Okay, thank you. That's good feedback. Appreciate it.
You can't say until you vote on it whether it's going to be deferred or not. I think you could say that there's been a request or something like that, but when you need a council vote to actually defer it, then I think there might be a way to let people know it's out there, but I don't think we can tell them before you vote that it's going to be deferred or not.
Well, and that's probably what we could communicate is that there's a request, or especially in the last 2 cases, we know that that had to be moved. So, yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone, and this meeting is now adjourned.
Yeah, I wanted to just uplift the apology because I know like the 2 cases in my district were the cases that were deferred, and that I know the people that came and they were ready to talk, and I didn't know that they were going to be deferred really until I kind of got to the table. So thank you for coming.
Okay, thank you. Meeting is now adjourned.